Hey, this is Kelly from the Dolly Rocks.
This is Joe Queer from the Infamous Queers.
Hey, Sleepy P. Martini.
Hey, this is Indica Flower.
And you are listening to
Our Brains Hurt.
Our Brains Hurt.
Our Brains Hurt.
Losers.
Well, they needed a jingle for their stupid little show, so they called up the Jasons and we said, fuck no. Then they called us again and they gave us $20 and we wrote them a song that said, your podcast sucks. Then they gave us more money and they asked us really nice and we finally gave in and we said, all right, I'll write you a song, but it's gonna be a clone of a Screeching Weasel song that we heard a while ago. So we wrote them a jingle and it sounded really rad. It was the best little jingle that their podcast ever had, but the file got corrupted and the email didn't work. Now they're stuck without a jingle singing our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. In a very non-copyright infringing sort of way.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Our Brains Hurt. This episode is brought to you by PunkBox. Head over to punkboxrocks.com. That's punkboxrocks.com for your monthly subscription service to punk rock merch. Everything you would find at a punk rock merch table at a punk show, sent to your house once a month. This could include stickers, button patches, koozies, vinyl, cassettes, CDs, everything you could think of once a month. It's an awesome subscription service, punkboxrocks.com. This show is also brought to you by Merch Slut. Head over to merchslut.com for awesome band t-shirts, punk rock band t-shirts. Merch Slut gets her shirts directly from the band or the label. These are not cheap knockoffs. She also has a wide array of awesome punk rock merch. Merchslut.com. Now, let's get to the show. Tonight we're talking to Mark Matusof.
Again,
one of our first guests.
Yeah, he was on really early in the show. And,
yeah, like right between Joe Queer and Sleazy P, I think. Something like that.
Somewhere back there. Yeah.
Yeah, like right out. Yeah, like one of the first couple episodes.
So Mark's got some things going on. We mentioned him last week.
Yeah, we'll keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
About the writer's strike and shit. And
yeah. I mean, this is interesting. This kind of shit is interesting to me because this is just we're musicians. We talk to musicians. This is just yet another art form that, large companies are trying to shoot down and replace with either not paying anybody anything at all or AI in this instance, which is frightening to think about.
Destroying art for more money.
What else can AI? What other art forms can AI replace? Like, we haven't even gotten to the point yet that can AI play music? Yeah, because it certainly can write. AI is like, this is another frightening thing to me, but AI is basically like passing high school and college courses for humans.
Yeah,
like people are asking AI to write papers for them,
like
left
term
and right.
papers and shit.
Yeah, I would imagine that there's a small percentage of humans left that are actually writing their own papers at this point.
Yeah,
because
probably.
It's very easy to get AI to write a term paper for you.
Did you ever see PCU, that movie?
Oh, of course.
I think we might have talked about it on this show before.
Yeah, Jeremy Piven, man.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most underrated college movies of all time.
John Favreau, Jeremy Piven. Yeah.
Remember, he has all those term papers in his basement. He's like, "What's your major?"
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that movie put Jeremy Piven on the map.
Yeah,
great flick.
yeah, totally. We're gonna let him in.
All right. Hey, Mark.
Hey guys.
How's it going?
Good.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Ron?
What's happening?
Good to see you again. After well, I haven't seen you in like almost 3 years now.
It's been a couple of years since I was on. Yeah.
How have you been? What do you have going on?
Just usual stuff, man. Working, comedy, doing some writing on my own, not for anybody else, of course. But I heard you guys, last episode, and thanks for the shout out. And that was true. Matt was right that I get offers. Yeah, because I'll make a slight correction with Matt. So my partner and I won a nickel fellowship in screenwriting from the organization that hosts the Oscars, YAMPAS, and we were out in Hollywood. It wasn't at the Oscar ceremony itself; it was a separate ceremony. But we got this screenwriting award. It was a fellowship, and even though I never really joined the Writers Guild, I'm still in solidarity with them, and I get offers, and I'm not taking them.
Nice.
Yeah, and
It's good to
that's
hear.
solid. Yeah, it's super solid.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, my brother appreciates that.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. There's two things. One, I mean, I don't believe in being a scab, and the second thing is, if I ever did that, if I ever wanted to join the Writers Guild, I'd be blackballed for life.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah.
They would write a script of me getting murdered, is what would happen. Yeah, beat to death with a protest sign. Yeah,
True crime, true story. When we had you on, we didn't these so we started asking these people, and we started asking all of our guests 3 questions at the end of the show.
Okay.
And we didn't, Matt, we weren't doing that back when we had Mark on the first time. I don't think.
If we were, it was only 2 questions at that point, but I'm unsure if we were.
I don't remember.
Okay, so I normally do this at the end of the podcast, but I'm curious. I want to ask one of these questions at the beginning of the podcast.
Okay.
I want to ask you, who would be on your Mount Rushmore of comedy, of comedians, and you get 5, so you get a Crazy Horse too, so you get 5.
Oh, okay.
People.
Well, Crazy Horse is twice as 10 times bigger than the others, so that works out
right.
well.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah, I would put the Smothers Brothers up there.
Okay.
Big fans of theirs. I would put Robert Klein up there. I would put Mort Saul up there. He kind of was the first one who really became a modern stand-up comic. I would probably put Seinfeld up there as well. He did a lot to promote the industry. And as far as I get one more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it wouldn't be me because I'd be up there like sweeping. So getting brushed. You got to brush up. As far as comedy, this is controversial. All right, maybe Bill Cosby.
Okay.
As far as his comedy goes, I know everything else, so maybe he doesn't deserve to be on a Mount Rushmore. But as far as his comedy goes, he would be up there. Right? Well, Carlin would have to be up there, of course.
Yeah.
George Carlin. Yeah. So maybe let's replace Bill Cosby with George Carlin. That's I should have thought of that earlier before I opened my mouth.
Have you? I don't know if you've ever watched this or not. I recently stumbled across this on YouTube, and I when I mean recently, within the last 2 weeks, I went on a Carlin rabbit hole.
Okay.
And back in, I think it was the early 90s, he was asked to go on this like congressional panel in front of a bunch of politicians, and he actually kind of does a stand-up. It's for something very specific, but it was televised on C-SPAN.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. And he does this like almost 45 minutes of stand-up based off of it. It's like him talking about essentially censorship. But he's doing an actual stand-up. Like he wrote this all out clearly, but he never did it in any of his acts. And I had never heard of this or seen it. It popped up in my feed while I was like looking at Carlin stuff, and I was like, oh, what's this? And I watched the whole thing from front to end. He answers questions at the end too, and him answering questions from politicians. The whole part of the video is almost longer than his like 45-minute stand-up that he does. It was a pretty incredible video. I was like, how have I never heard of this before? Have you ever seen that?
I had never heard of it or seen it. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll see if I can find the link and send it to you. It's great.
Yeah, I would love to see that, because that would be George Carlin's C-SPAN comedy special. Yeah. That's what it is.
And it's like, it is what it is. And it was like one very specific congressman at the time, I believe, who like really pushed for this whole thing to happen.
Was this back in the era when it was like you said in the 70s or 80s? You said
no. I think it was like 91 or 92. Maybe it was the late 80s, but I'm pretty sure it was early 90s.
It maybe it has something to do with that era where Al Gore's wife Tipper was trying
the PMRC.
Maybe it has something to do with that.
He mentions something, and he does joke about Tipper at one point, and he mentions a different acronym, but it's not PMRC. It's like something that either PMRC became or something completely separate from that was similar.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Frank Zappa also do a congressional
Yeah,
question thing right around that era too about censorship and
he
And it
did.
was-
I've seen that as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
And
think that
what's his
was-
name
I
from
don't-
Twisted Sister?
oh yeah,
Dee Snider.
Dee Snider, yeah.
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 I saw Twisted Sisters to digress. I saw them when they were just a bar band in Long Island. So
That's awesome.
it's kind of interesting to see how big they became at the time in the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
Did Dee still have the Goldilocks?
I honestly don't remember. I just remember seeing the band. I don't think they quite had that look back then, but
Yeah.
Yeah, the makeup and the hair came later. The 80s,
yeah, the glam rock.
Yeah.
That was an interesting era.
Yeah, the 80s did a lot.
yeah.
They were the 80s were loud in every way possible. I think that's
Yes. Clothing was loud.
everything.
Everything.
Yeah, I'm glad I was alive during the 80s. It was I don't know. I was too young though. I mean, because I was born in 77, so like I was a kid. I still remember like the awesome toys and actually like having to find something to do to keep yourself occupied instead of turning on a machine.
Yeah.
Going
Yeah,
outside.
Those days are gone.
Yeah, totally.
Outside.
I know.
What is this
Why
outside?
would you want to go outside? There's bugs out there.
I think
What
there's
is
an app. I think there's an app for that. Outside. Outside app.
I wouldn't doubt if that actually exists.
Yeah. Oh man. Matt, who would be on your Mount Rushmore?
Of comedy?
Yeah, of comedy. We've never talked about this before, but
Yeah,
we're
we
both
have
really into comedy. So
George Carlin, 100%.
Mhm.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
After that, God, maybe.
Richard Pryor probably deserves to be up there, and
he's on mine for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a name that's going through my head right now.
Mhm.
I really love Daniel Tosh.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I like him too.
I've laughed harder at Daniel Tosh during moments of my life than I have at any other comedian. So Daniel Tosh goes up there. He's just so flamboyantly hilarious. And I think I'm gonna put Cheech and Chong as kind of one, like the Smothers Brothers. They're
Right.
I don't think you can put them separate so they can just get one.
Just a Cheech.
Yeah, just Cheech.
Cheech is Chong is serving time.
Yeah, Chong, Cheech.
I've worked with Tommy Chong a couple times.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Man, those movies are still hilarious
Yeah,
today.
they're
Like,
great.
that scene in Up in Smoke where he picks up Tommy on the side of the road, like that opening scene, it's just
Yeah.
there's like no funnier 5 minutes in cinema than like that. So awesome.
And then God, I gotta think hard on my crazy horse here. I know there's like certain specials that I really love, but then I don't like some of the other stuff certain comedians have done. Like I laughed super hard at Patton Oswalt's like first.
Yeah.
I think it was his first recorded one, the one where he talks about like sky cake and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've laughed harder at that than I have at a lot of things in life, but then some of the rest of his stuff.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I mean, Bill Hicks probably deserves to be up there too.
Oh yeah, Bill Hicks
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Man, I might just throw him. That might be my
Okay.
wild.
Here you go. Here you go. You have him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, does that
Yes.
not fit the perfect wild card of
it does.
the crazy horse?
Yeah.
Even
It
yeah,
does. It
I
does.
think I'm gonna throw. I think Bill Hicks. It belongs to Bill Hicks. The dude's a genius.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then according to the conspiracy theorists, turned into Alex Jones.
That's funny, man. Yeah.
Have you ever heard that one, Mark?
No.
Yeah, there's a theory out there in the world that Alex Jones is Bill Hicks.
He never died. He just
Bill Hicks never died.
Oh
He
God.
created a new persona. Basically, did an Andy Kaufman, and that's why Alex Jones is such like what doesn't really make sense. If you
which
will,
would be the greatest joke of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a real theory that exists in the world that
Yeah.
people believe.
Yeah, well, the flat earthers probably yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes. These are the same people that believe the Earth is flat. That's correct.
Yeah. And I would go Dave Chappelle, Richard Pryor, George Carlin, and Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Rodney Dangerfield kills me. I don't know.
Wait,
It
so
might just
he
could-
does get respect.
It might be half of it's because he's so funny looking just to look at. He just
Yeah.
For my crazy horse, man, I love I want to put Weird Al as my crazy horse.
I mean, yeah,
Um,
that's comedy, totally.
Yeah, it's not. He's got some staying power. He's been
Yeah.
around a long time. You know,
Yeah.
that's part of it too. You know, is somebody just a flash in the pan, or
Yeah.
is there some gravitas to them?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
And-
where I would go.
And because Paul knocked a cup of coffee out of his hand that flew into their
Right,
neighbor's
yeah,
window. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a true story, Mark.
What happened?
Our buddy Paul, who's been on here, he was one of the 5-second films guys, which was like the first YouTube channel to go viral, and essentially they created micro content in some realm at least, or maybe popularized it. But yeah, when Weird Al went to film at the 5-second films house, Paul was very excited that Weird Al was there, and he was showing him around. I think Paul may have gotten a little too drunk, as he told it
really
before
drunk.
Weird Al got there, and as he was in the backyard with Weird Al trying to point something out, his arm swung around as he was pointing at something and knocked the cup of coffee that was out in Weird Al's hand. But he didn't just knock it out of his hand. It flung out of his hand over the fence and into the neighbor's open kitchen window. Yeah, this is a true story.
It's a hell of a flick.
Yeah. Yeah. And then his friends, the rest of the 5-second film guys, promptly said, "Paul, please come with us. We're going to take you to your room."
You're in timeout.
Yeah, then he
Yeah.
passed out and he didn't remember any of it.
Yeah.
He didn't remember meeting Weird Al. He's like, oh man.
Oh
woke
no!
up.
After all, they didn't remember meeting him. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, and he woke up, and the rest of the guys in the house told him that what had happened, and he was, "Oh my god, are you fucking serious?" And they're like, "Yeah," and he was like, "What do I do? Weird Al hates me," and they were like, "Actually, no, he thought it was hilarious."
probably doesn't even remember you at all,
Right. Yeah.
not by name or face. Yeah.
Yeah. I do have to
That
give
is
an honorable mention to Mitch Hedberg too, because no one's made me
Yeah.
laugh more than Mitch Hedberg.
I still have his business card.
That's
That's
awesome. That's so cool.
we had a conversation about this recently, I
Yeah.
believe, in the last couple of months.
Yeah, Felix wanted our friend Felix, who I have a mutual friend, wanted a copy of it. So okay, yeah, I took a picture of it and gave it to Felix. But yeah, I met Mitch years ago before he was big, and he was handing out business. It was a weird. I should have it with me, but he he had his business card. You can imagine what his business card looked like. It was just weird scratches with the name Mitch on it, and you're just phone numbers almost illegible on the bottom. It was great.
That's awesome. Yeah.
His business card was just like scribbles on a cocktail napkin.
That's kind of I guess that's the look he was going for. I mean, it's like a real printed out business card, but it looked like it was scratched onto a napkin. Is what the whole thing was. And I should say it.
I'm kind of surprised that not one of us said Sam Kinison. He was wildly popular.
He was. He's not one of my. He's not one of my favorites. But
same for me.
Yeah. No, he certainly deserves an honorable mention in my book. It just wasn't one of my favorites to put up on Mount Rushmore.
He was unique, I guess that.
Yeah.
That kind of.
I visited his grave in Tulsa when I was performing out there. That's where he's buried for some reason. And I guess
Tulsa.
Tulsa. For some reason, I thought he's from Peoria, Illinois, but he's buried in Tulsa. So I visited. Me and the other comic I was working with went to down the cemeteries, and so, there's like on his tombstone is like cigarettes and a joint and condoms. People have all this stuff around you.
That's good.
Yeah, he did movies too. I mean, he was in Back to School.
Yeah, that was probably his best movie, I think. When he played the crazy teacher that
The Vietnam.
Rodney Dangerfield got in, face to face with you. And I know you mentioned, in passing Andy Kaufman before. I never have to. There's a great Andy Kaufman story. I love it because he pushed the limits of what comedy is or should be.
Mhm.
And there was a famous story of him at a club where he gets on stage, he starts singing like 99 bottles of beer on the wall, and everybody's laughing, and he's singing 99, 98. He doesn't stop. He gets down into the 60s, and people it gets quiet. It gets quiet in the club, And now he's down to in the 50s and 40s, and people like booing him. He gets all the way down to like 15 or and they start cheering him on. and he finally gets to zero, like one button, and they get like a standing ove, and that's what we call it's a great example of commitment to a bit.
Yeah,
It's coming full circle.
Man, full circle from it's funny, yeah, okay, enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that's a comedian's comedian. The comedians who get up there and just get only the other comedians can appreciate what he's doing.
Yeah, that's what we call playing to the back of the room. Yep.
Playing to the back of the room.
That's the phrase in the business. Yeah, you played to the back of the room. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, then, what have you got any tours coming up, or what have you been up to lately?
Lately I've just been doing corporate shows, private shows. What's around. Been in shows at Knights of Columbus and VFW halls and private shows and stuff. And there's a little room I book in Stafford once a month. I just host it at in Stafford, Virginia. And I really don't do any time, but I book my friends in there. The deal with that place was they were doing some sort of open mic, I guess. I don't want to disparage what was going on beforehand, but the owner wanted to go a different direction. So I had a meeting with her, and she asked me, to book professional comics in there. And we've been doing it for like almost 2 years now, and it's been going really well. And that's what I've been doing. About once a month, I host a little show down there, and it's been a great response. It's weird. The room's like in a neighborhood. So the place, right, Matt?
Yeah, it's in Embry Mill in Stafford. It's like this little tiny bar cafe kind of place.
Yeah, right? It's underneath the homeowners association. That's awesome. Their office. So you try every comic I've booked in a shows up. This can't be right. It's in the townhome neighborhood, and so people walk there. I said, so we always close the show. Hey, everybody, just walk home safe. Been drinking. But yeah, it's a fun little room. We do that like once a month.
Do you remember what the place is called? Like the actual?
Yeah, Grounds Bistro.
Grounds Bistro. Yeah, and are you doing like once a month? Is that what it is?
Yeah, once a month. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's like usually she changes the date sometimes. Usually it's the second or third Saturday, of every month. So it's good to give back to some of my friends and comics that it's the money's okay for a little one nighter, and it's a fun little room.
I always thought that place was weird that it existed, because when they first built that neighborhood, I went in there with one of my friends who had bought a house in there, and it's like a bar in the middle of a suburban neighborhood, and there's nothing else. Like there's like a pool near it, I think, too.
Yeah, there's a pool, especially in summertime. Now you don't shoot behind you. There's people splashing in the pool. It's it's like doing comedy in a Starbucks. That's the way I could describe it.
Yeah, a little bar. There's like a
they have food. The food's pretty good in there too. Yeah.
There's like a little shopping center up the street now. They're building this little like downtown area.
Yeah. For
that neighborhood, like up the street, like pretty close. I don't know if you've seen it or not. So
is that the one where the Publix is, that place?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But they're extending that, and there's going to be like this little kind of mixed use downtown area or whatever. For that whole entire neighborhood, they're trying to turn that Courthouse Road in Stafford into the next like 610 in that area.
it's Stafford's entertainment district.
Yeah. Oh God, Stafford County.
Is Fredericksburg in Stafford?
No, Fredericksburg is its own thing.
Oh, it's its own thing. Okay,
it's an independent city. No, I have held off talking about Stafford County on this podcast.
Is that north or south of Fredericksburg?
I almost made it 3 years. It's north of Fredericksburg. So Fredericksburg is an independent city that basically is like a knot that's like sandwiched in between Stafford County and Spotsylvania County.
Okay.
People think that Fredericksburg is part of Stafford or part of Spotsylvania County, but it's not. It's its own independent city,
Gotcha.
kind of like the city of Manassas in Prince William County. Manassas, it's its own little independent city. It's not a county. It's just a. These are old Civil War cities that were grandfathered in, because I think technically now in the United States you have to have a population of at least 80,000 to be considered a city versus a town, or like, move from a township into a city. But these old Civil War cities that were large in the 17 and 1800s, like Fredericksburg and Manassas, which never grew farther than they could because of the borders that were created for them legally, and then suburbia grew around them. Were grandfathered into the city rule in the United States federally, so they're allowed to be considered cities still. Because the city of Fredericksburg, I think, is 31,000 population now.
Oh, is that all? I thought it was more than that. I thought it'd be a lot bigger than that.
It was 28,000 when I moved.
I thought it'd be way bigger as well.
When I moved back here in 2014, it was 28,000. I think it's 31,000 now.
You brought 3,000 people with you. That was very nice of you, Matt.
Yeah. I do what I can.
It's the best people.
Don't ask me why I pay attention to these things either. I'm like, why do I know this information?
Oh, you were actually dead on.
Yeah,
I wasn't checking your facts. I was just surprised it was that small. It's 28,367 as of 2021.
Yeah. They've taken up all this land, because there's not much land within the city limits of Fredericksburg to build on, but they've taken everything they can in the past 3 years and built all these new townhouse developments and cookie cutter suburban houses that, it's starting in the 600,000s, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't talk. I live in Woodbridge. I can't throw stones in.
I mean, people, it's funny, and I know you know this, Mark. When you live where we live in Virginia, and then you travel the country and you say you're from Virginia, people always think that you're from some sort of southern farmland.
Walton's Mountain.
Yeah. And then you're like, you clearly have never been to Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia is a giant suburban city that has 3.1 million people.
New Jersey without all the Camaros. Yeah.
And the Sharks. Yeah.
Yeah. Maryland gets that rap too.
Yeah.
People think that about Maryland, but
really?
Yeah.
That surprises me even more, because there's the Western Triangle of Maryland is country, but
that's West Virginia basically.
It is. They might as well just give it to West Virginia.
Aren't they talking about that? Aren't those last three counties out there talking about joining West Virginia?
There was some talk about I did hear about that, but who knows?
Because everything west of Cumberland basically should just be West Virginia.
Yeah,
it really should. Whatever though.
Yeah. Hey. Who knows? State lines are weird.
People wouldn't. The West Virginians, and Mark, you may remember this. A mutual friend of ours named Matt. Yeah. When people would find out he was from West Virginia, they'd be like, "Oh, where in West Virginia are you from?" And he would just go like this, and he'd be like, "Right there."
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, since people can't, I'm holding up the middle finger slanted, because if you look at the state of West Virginia, it looks like it's a hand giving you the middle finger. Yeah. And he would hold up his hand like that and point to his middle finger and be like, "Right there. That's where I'm from."
Yeah, it's weird, because that's that little sliver of West Virginia goes past Pittsburgh. It's way up there is practically Pittsburgh, but it's technically West Virginia.
Yeah, and it's odd that I've met as many people as I have over my life that have come from that part of West Virginia. It's very strange.
I just drove through there a few weeks ago to go into Ohio.
Yeah, sandwiched in between
exactly.
Pennsylvania and Ohio. You know,
Yeah.
New Vrindavan is up there. If any Hindus out there,
Well,
or Krishnas out there.
When you think of, well, I mean, if you look at history too, that used to be Virginia, before the Civil
Yeah.
War. That was Virginia, went all the way past Pennsylvania and up into Ohio,
Yeah, Virginia gave, or allowed West Virginia to become a state because, like, we didn't want that.
It's a beautiful state, though, West Virginia. I drive
It
through
is,
all the
it
time.
is.
To the eye.
Right. Yeah. You guys ever seen that show Jury Duty?
Oh, that was great.
Oh, you watched it? Yeah.
Oh, I watched it. I that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Matt, have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
It's on Prime, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically, it's like this, everybody is an actor except for one person. And that one person thinks that it's a documentary about jury duty.
Yeah. So he's on his jury, and everybody else, the judge, the defendants, all the other jurors, the lawyers, the plaintiff, everybody is an actor. Even when they go out to like other everybody's an actor except for him. And so it's like a huge prank, and he's taking it seriously. They couldn't have picked a better dude to be that guy.
Yeah, totally.
Since we were just talking about states and Virginia and now jury duty, one of the laws that Virginia passed that went through on July 1st, just here earlier this month, if you do jury duty in Virginia now, they raised the amount of money that you get for doing it.
Is it $30 now?
No, that's what it was, $30. Now you get a whopping $50 a day. Big money, Virginia. Yeah. They almost doubled it.
Almost.
I have never been called for jury duty.
I did one time, and a week later, the trial that I was supposed to do jury on got canceled. Or got acquitted.
Yeah, that's what happens. I mean, I was on jury duty just before the pandemic, and so it was like, I figure it was like every Monday I had to be available in what I think it was April of that year. I had to be available, and they'd call me up like the night before, and you would get an email or something. Hey, you don't have to. So I think it was only one of them I had to report to, because whatever case I would have been assigned to got settled out of court or something, or they pled guilty. So there's not going to be a trial, but the one I did go to, I did get called. It was like a 2-day, civil trial, and it was interesting. It was okay, rather than
Yeah,
would rather not done it, but it was kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm 45. I've never been called for it, and people are always like wondering how I've never been. I was like, maybe I forgot to fill something out at a certain. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I've never been.
I mean, mine was recent too. The one that I just said.
Of course, tomorrow I'm going to get a letter in the mail now. Watch.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah,
for the trial of the century.
Mine was COVID. I think was during COVID. I'm pretty sure,
really?
But I didn't have to go. Yeah. So I mean, I almost made it as far as you did. But now you're right, though. It is going to be. It's like tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was the second time I got called for. The first time I was. It was true. I was married at the time, and it had to do with the case had to do with a car accident. And my wife had just been in a car accident at the time, and it was circumstance very similar. So, I mean, I wasn't trying to get out. I just say, hey, yeah, my wife was just in a similar car accident, so they dismissed me. But
okay, yeah,
and this one, they answering questions. I thought when they told them I was a comic, I thought they're going to let me go, but no, you had to stay.
So I can make fun of the defendant.
Yeah, that's what the lawyer was saying when he's talking. So you're going to make fun of this? I don't know.
Maybe.
I was telling Matt today about this other show I just saw on Netflix. It's a 5-part documentary about the American Gladiators.
Okay.
And
I've heard about that.
It's they're only half-hour episodes, only 5 of them, so it's fairly quick, really well done. And it's I was telling Matt, I really changed my mind kind of about the show and the gladiators themselves, because they really got taken advantage of.
Really,
I mean, the gladiators, financially and physically, and just it was just it was really kind of sad. It's on Netflix. Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, I think it's called Muscles and Mayhem or something. Yeah.
Okay,
that's a good name.
I'll
Actually,
have to watch that for sure.
Yeah, it was really well, because I was watching that because I remember seeing. I mean, I didn't watch Gladiators regularly but I saw enough episodes. I remember those are the guys I used to hate in high school.
Yeah.
And I was always pulling for the for the little guy to kind of beat them or something. And I guess that was kind of the think of the show. But those, but when you see them and they're talking about, that it was kind of over the top is what they wanted. It was kind of competing with wrestling, and in fact, they got bigger than wrestling, I think. And,
yeah, they probably did for a minute. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But they were really, I think the wrestlers were not taken advantage of as much as these guys and women were, and it's kind of sad. But it was really enlightening, and it changed my opinion of the gladiators themselves.
What did they do? Like, what were their careers before? Like,
most of them were like bodybuilders.
Just bodybuilders.
Yeah. And I mean, they auditioned. I wouldn't give it, but they auditioned a lot of them, and the ones that a lot, just because someone's a bodybuilder doesn't mean they're an athlete.
Right.
So so they went with ones that obviously had to be athletes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were almost all just bodybuilders. And of course, when the show ended, that's all they knew how to do. And now they're older and they can't compete as bodybuilders.
Right.
Anymore.
Yeah, that was a crazy show. Some of those events were awesome. Like
shooting tennis balls at people was my favorite.
Yeah.
And
when they had a football and they had to try to run and score a touchdown.
Yes.
It was like,
there was some injuries on that one.
Yeah. Man, American Gladiator.
Oh man.
When was that show on? Is it 80s or 90s?
Late 80s, early 90s. I think
Okay.
I think they said 87 to 93 or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I still remember to this day, my cousin, who's like 6 months younger than me, like being like, "Oh my God, Matt, you got to watch this show called American Gladiators. They do all this crazy. They like shoot tennis balls at people. There's jousts. They just, we were kids or whatever." And I was just like, "Yeah, I'm in. Let's do this."
Mm-hmm. You remember Matt and I had these friends, the Beard Brothers, that's what we used to call them. And they used to do this thing in their backyard called the Barbarian Games.
Barbarian Fest. Yeah.
Everybody's getting drunk and throwing knives and axes.
It was a test of endurance.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, that's
test of stupidity.
Right. Really, I mean, there was like a bow and arrow, and I mean, I shot it into someone's. I mean, it went over their fence. I don't know where it went. I didn't hear any.
Yeah, they had one less dog.
Yeah, they moved to Maine.
Yeah.
Did they really? Because that's like a perfect place for somebody like that.
They did.
Yeah.
They moved to Maine. Yes, they moved to Maine.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's like that backyard wrestling stuff that's insane. If you watch it like on YouTube, it's crazy.
Yeah, this was different than that, but that is. People like jump off trees onto like
or
trampolines
roofs,
full of barbed wire. Like, the things that human beings will do to get other human beings to pay attention to them.
Their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah,
that was the first time I found that. I found out after that I mean, drunk axe throwing is really a thing. I mean, it's people do this. It's a real thing with axe throwing. You have to be drinking. I said, wow.
There's an axe throwing spot here in Fredericksburg where there's like a little bar and you can get drinks, and that's essentially like the allure. No, another friend of ours. So Mark Corey.
Yeah,
he decided he took his mom there for Mother's Day because that's what she wanted to do, was go drink and throw axes. And no shit, he's got video of this. Her very first throw was a fucking bullseye.
Wow.
And she had never thrown an axe before in her entire life. Yeah, he's got video of it. It's great.
I can see him doing that too. Hey, Mom, let's go.
Yeah.
Snocker and throw axes.
Yeah, that's what she wanted to throw axes for Mother's Day. So that's what they did.
I threw axes at a Renaissance festival once. And the first one I threw, it bounced off the target thing and came flying back to me and almost hit me. I was like, I'm not throwing axes anymore. It was like,
that's the fear.
Yeah, throwing a hell of a shield too.
Yeah, I know. You're the first one that gets killed throwing axes.
I think, Ron, you are far from the first person that would ever get killed throwing axes. Far from the first.
Probably.
Somebody in Sweden has definitely died from throwing axes recreationally in the last 3,000 years.
You guys have Renaissance festivals in Virginia?
There's one
No.
in Maryland that's big. I know.
We have to go to you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's near my. It's like 10 minutes from my house. The one in Maryland. That's really
It's at Crownsville. Is it still there?
Yep,
I used.
yep.
Yeah, I was there many years ago. I know that. I guess that's the spot, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
They made a Renaissance festival down here right outside of Fredericksburg, actually, back in the 90s. It's this huge thing still. It's become extremely illegal to go there, but they built this whole town. There's a little pond with a pirate ship in it, and like all these buildings. I'm not even kidding you. Somebody built on private property. It's right outside of Fredericksburg. It's technically in Stafford.
It's like a ghost. It's a ghost.
Yeah,
Renaissance town?
It was abandoned, and like somebody still owns it, and people used to go out there and take pictures. You can go online and look it up and look at the pictures of it, and they'll show you all the buildings in the woods and stuff. But if you try to go there and like explore, there's cameras all set up. You will get arrested fast as fuck now.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like a whole pirate ship in this pond and everything. Look, you should take the time to just like Stafford, Virginia, abandoned Renaissance Fair. There's mad pictures online. It's pretty cool.
Why is there a pirate ship in the Renaissance Festival?
Because there was a pond in the middle of the land where they built the little town around, and they just decided to build some fucking ship. I don't know. Why do Renaissance Fair people do anything?
That's true. Yeah. 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 The one in Maryland is huge. It's every year from like the middle of August to the end of October.
Yeah, I was saying many years ago I went to it, and I know that members in France. I guess it's still there. Yeah, I didn't know if they moved it somewhere else.
No, it's still there. The food is awesome.
Turkey leg.
Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah, but
I think the same people that run the one in Maryland are the people who bought this land long ago and built this thing, because it definitely had links to like some of the big Renaissance festivals that are around, this area. And by area, I mean like Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, maybe even Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I think there were links there, but yeah, you should look it up and read the story. It's a neat little piece of history, even if you're not like a Renaissance Fair person.
Yeah. Will do. All right, Mark, I'm going to ask you the other two questions now.
All right.
If you were on death row, what would your final meal be?
Well, the joke answer is always Peking duck because that takes 24 hours. But that's not my judge. That's an old joke. All right. What would my last meal be on death row? The other joke. The other joke would be just popcorn kernels. So when they fry you, you sleep. Let's see
for the audience.
It's the new Gallagher.
I would probably go because I would have to go with like a Ruth's Chris steak. Something I can never. Not something I can never afford when I'm alive. So might as well go out in style. I'm not a big steak guy, but I would have to. Yeah, if you're going to spend my last meal, I want you to spend the money. You're going to spend $100 on a meal for me. Last meal.
Yeah.
What's your favorite cut and temperature for steak, if you have one?
I used to. All right, when I was a kid, it used to be.
I like talking steak.
When I was a kid, it used to be well done, but I've gotten to where it's like just some pink inside now.
Okay.
I'll take not somewhere between medium and well. I know they say medium well, but somewhere in there where it's not quite medium, but it's a little bit better than a little bit more cooked than that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know. Saying
rare guy.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes the when you say well done is just like sacrilege to steak people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
do you have a cut that you enjoy? Is there any specific cut that you enjoy at all?
There is a, I guess, prime rib, if it's done right. There's a place in San Francisco, and I go out there. My brother lives out in San Francisco. My brother and his wife. My mom lives out there in that area. And there's a place called, they go for like, my sister-in-law, it's her favorite restaurant. It's a place that's called House of Prime Rib. That's all they got, and it's like a 6-month waiting list to get in there.
Wow.
And it's really, that's all they got on the menu is prime rib. There's really no choice of anything. I mean, you get different size and cuts, but it's prime rib. And you get really no choice. Whatever vegetable they have is what you get. Whatever so, and they make it right there at the table, and it's phenomenal. I'm not even a steak guy, but this is it's really phenomenal. So I would say prime rib because that's
nice.
Yeah.
That's a solid choice. Prime rib is excellent.
Yeah.
What about you,
Excellent.
man? Steak wise.
Like, what's my favorite cut? I'm a London broil guy, but I'm also, I mean, London broil is really expensive. If I had like endless money, I would always eat London broil. But for the cheap man's steak, that can be actually excellent if you know what you're doing on a grill. A regular cheap chuck steak can be turned into something that is phenomenal if you know what you're doing. Hanger steak as well. Best bang for your buck.
Hanger steak?
Yeah, they used to call it that because the hanger steak was the cut from the cow that the butchers would take for themselves.
Okay.
So it wasn't the cut of meat that was going to make them the most money, but it was like still worth some money. It was like the best bang for your buck.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to hang it on the hook while they were carving up the rest of the things. That's why they started calling it a hanger steak.
Hanger?
They would, they were like, this is going to be great, but it's not going to make as much money as this and this and this. So they would put it on that hook. Yeah. Hanger steaks are great. The hanger steaks and chuck steaks, if you know what you're doing cooking, they actually can come out quite similar. Chuck steaks are far less expensive though. I know steak aficionados are going to call sacrilege on that one to me, but I've made some chuck steaks in my life because I know what I'm doing on the grill.
There you go.
That people would be like, God damn.
Wow.
People have been like, God damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ruin something like that on the guy. Matt knows I am like the world's worst cook. So
The cooking with Mark videos. You have a YouTube channel that those are on, don't you?
yeah, I haven't unlisted yet, but I do have the I made like 6 or 7 of them where I attempt. I'm really trying to do things right, and it just always turns out
Wrong.
something goes awry. I think
They're
it's
great. Those videos are great.
That's awesome.
Well, I made pierogies from scratch not too long ago. So
Nice.
yeah, again, there was some problems there, but it turned out right. Well, you know, here's the thing: the recipe. It was my mom's recipe. When my mom moved into assisted living, my brother and sister-in-law were kind of clean out, and I got this stack of index cards on mom's recipes on them. One of them was pierogies, which I used to eat as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, let me try this. But it was for 48. I mean, the recipe I had was to make 48 pierogies. And somebody said, that's too many. You cut it in half and just cut the recipe in half, make 24. But the recipe called for 1 egg. So I'm trying to figure out how to do a half an egg. So I had like a turkey baster. I sucked out half the egg. All right. You know, I'm just trying to. And I still ended up with 12 instead of 24. I ended up with 12 of them, but they were all right. They were actually one of my less worst experiences in the kitchen.
At least you didn't hard boil it and just cut it in half.
What was the my favorite of yours was one holiday you had posted something on social media that was like, it was like Thanksgiving or something. It was a big meal holiday, and it was like a bottle of scotch and a can of tuna or something like that.
Oh yeah. It was a can of sardines, I think. It was like,
Yeah, can of sardines.
I had a candle. Yeah, it was my Thanksgiving.
Like-
I had like
it's
a
like
can
having
of sardines and a candle and a bottle of scotch.
That's
It was like
Thanksgiving
the
ever.
greatest
Yeah,
social
yeah.
media post ever. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Just
From my house to yours.
yeah.
It was
funny.
fantastic.
All right. The other question is if so one of the things they actually do this now is if you get cremated, they can take your ashes and form it into a vinyl record of your choice. So if you were going to have your ashes eternalized in a record of your choice, which record would you pick?
Okay, that question is slightly disturbing on several levels. Let's
Yeah,
see,
it
I don't. You know what? I would probably do a mix of. I would probably do like some sort of gypsy music, which I like. I mean, I always like listening to that stuff. Really, really well done gypsy music. It does. I don't know about it doesn't have to be the artist. Maybe Gogo Bordello. Maybe Gogo Bordello is like one cut on there, but
Nice. Yeah.
but I like gypsy music. I think would be something
That's
like
fun
be
stuff.
internalized with me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Gogo Bordello is a great band too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Favorite.
That's my favorite in that genre.
I think we touched on this maybe the last time you were on too, but our audience is a bit bigger than it once was when you were on originally. Mark is a musician of sorts as well. He's a very accomplished mandolinist. If that is that mandolinist, is that the proper?
Yeah, I guess that would. Yeah, mandolinist would be. I don't know the word, but let's go with that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a word either, but musician, musician in general. Mark's mandolin, you incorporate it into your act as well?
I do. I play towards the end of my stand-up act. I play various things on it, and then I run it through an effects pedal and play Jimi Hendrix on it.
Yeah, and it's great. It works really, really, really well. And you are really...
Actually, I started off playing. I got the back. I don't play it anymore. I got a balalaika back there, but and I played mandolin. And I play a little bit guitar, and I played bass in bands for a while. From time to time, because nobody needed a mandolin player. So, I have an electric bass right over here. I haven't played it in a while, but
I mean, there's a market in the punk rock world for a mandolinist, like more towards like the Dropkick Murphy side of the world, Scottish punk, Irish punk, both for them Irish punk, but there is a solid amount of punk rock bands that use mandolinists nowadays. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah,
there's a group called Ukrainians, which they're I think they're either Irish or Scottish, but they're obviously Ukrainian. They play a lot of Eastern European, but it's in that Dropkick Murphy style. It's really sped up with drums and stuff, and big fan of theirs.
Nice.
And you're originally Romanian, correct?
Yeah, my mom's from Romania. My dad's family's what's now Belarus, so that's where they're from. Yep.
And I'm sure that helped along with style of music there.
Yeah, I mean that's what I grew up listening to. Just appreciating like the Eastern European type music. But then I'm always a big fan of taking music from one genre and trying to play it in another genre. Try a different style. There was a band I was kind of involved with for a while. It was called the Death Billies, which
I remember you showed me them. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I just didn't have enough time to dedicate to them, but I don't think the band ever took off. But it was playing all these classic country songs in a death metal style.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I might have a recording somewhere. I'll find it, Matt. I'll play some for you. But it was it was kind of cool.
That's awesome. Where did your family settle when they came to the States?
New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, you grew. Was it Syosset you grew up in, right?
Yeah, well, I went to high school in Syosset. I lived in the Bronx first, and then I went to high school in Syosset. Yeah, in fact, it's Amazon Prime Day, so I might order a Syosset T-shirt.
Nice.
Treat myself.
Yeah, Mark says it right. He's he pronounces the G twice when he says Long Island.
Long Island, yeah.
Long Island.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll be there in 2 weeks visiting my mother.
Oh, where at?
She lives in Baldwin.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was if I'm not mistaken, I think when I don't remember how the lines were drawn. I think that was we used to play them in sports every year, Baldwin, I think. But
okay.
I'm not sure how it's kind of weird how you drew the lines of who
Yeah, my stepfather's from Massapequa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So my family is originally from the Bronx.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's where I'm originally from.
Yeah. It's my family came from Italy to New York as well.
Dude, Mark and your family's originally from the Bronx, that we said? Well, when they came over here, right?
Yeah, my dad, when he came over, was from the Bronx. My mom, came over here during the war as a war refugee. And I think she was in Brooklyn, then moved to the Bronx later on. They met. It's interesting that they met. I have a picture of my parents before they met, in the same picture. They were at my mom's brother married my dad's cousin. Okay. So, because they're on, my mom was on the groom's side of the family. My dad was on the bride's side of the family, and they met. So, there's a picture of the two of them at that wedding, but on opposite sides of the room. So, cool. After they got married, their kids are related to me on both sides of my family.
I know.
It sounds more insidious than it is. I mean, there's nothing, but it's just because they're two families met in two different places.
Yeah, one of my grandfather's parents are first cousins, so
yeah.
That's I say that's why I'm bad at math.
That's weird though that we're on Bronx Connection and Mark, if your dad came from the Bronx or whatever, but my mom was born in White Plains but raised in the Bronx up until from when she was real little up until they moved to Connecticut when she went to high school. So
Yeah,
we all
White
got
Plains
that Bronx
Yeah,
connection.
right above the Bronx. Yeah, White Plains. Yep.
Yeah. But she went to like I don't even know, PS like 23 or something like that.
Yeah. They didn't have names back then. It was just, PS this and PS that.
Do they even have names now?
Some of them do now, but
they gave them
some
names.
of them are still PS. Yeah.
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 Weird.
Yeah, I lived in New Rochelle for a little while after high school, which is like right above the Bronx. Well,
that's where the Dick Van Dyke Show was supposed to take place.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I went to Iona College, IONA.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's where Jim Valvano coached there before he went to North Carolina. That's where I got him from.
Yep. And that's where, I have these
little pieces of trivia in my head. I don't know my congressman's name, but I know that.
That's the stuff that matters.
Can't find my keys in the morning, but I remember that.
Wow.
Iona's weird. It's a small school, but it's got a good basketball heritage. What's his name was just coaching there? Damn, the dude from Kentucky and Louisville.
Oh,
Pitino.
Pitino, yeah.
Rick Pitino just coached for I think 2 or 3 years at Iona. He just got picked up for St. John's. He's at St. John's now.
Yeah, they were the only school that would hire him for a little while, and then he had to rebuild himself.
Yeah. Have you been back to Romania? Have you ever?
I've never been there. And actually, part of it, where my mom's family is from, part of it's in Ukraine now. So,
gotcha. Yeah. Not a good time to visit.
No, it's not. The province of Bukovina, part of it is in Ukraine. So my grandmother used to say she lived in 5 different countries, never had to move. Orders kept changing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. Yeah, that's an interesting area.
Yeah, one of these days I'd like to go. I mean, Romania probably be visitable. I don't think Belarus, I think, is never going to be something I visit because they'll just get thrown in prison just for being an American over there or something.
Yeah. Yeah, my band, we don't have a drummer. So when we were finishing our album, we had I contacted this YouTube drummer, and she's actually from Belarus. And so she played she did 2 tracks. She recorded them over in Belarus. So on our record, she's on 2 of those tracks.
Sweet.
Yeah, she tracked drums for us for 2 songs. It's pretty cool.
I've seen a couple of these videos where there's people like in like 9 different countries, and they're like they're playing together, and it's it's kind of unique. It's pretty cool the way what comes out of it.
Yeah,
they have the ability to do that now. You can be in a band with people from multiple countries and put together a record.
Yeah,
people have done it, and it's pretty cool. Obviously you're probably not going to tour for stuff like that, but
right.
I guess one never knows, but
yeah, we had the reason we were out of a drummer because he went to prison. Our drummer, we were just seeing if we could set up a show where he played live from lockup,
from prison
with like 2 guards. Ankle was still shackled to the bass pedal.
It would have to be with the brushes, though. He couldn't.
I was going to say they got to take the sticks of weapons
with the brushes.
Like, why are your sticks sharp?
Well, you got anything coming up, Mark? Are you going on the road?
No, not till August. I got something down. I got a corporate gig down in Florida. Then I got some other gig I just picked up in Williamsburg in August, but I'm not sure exactly the details yet. I just know I got booked for it. And there's something else on in Pencil for that month also. But yeah, July I really don't have anything going on. So just trying to do the side hustles, put some money in the bank, and then hit the road again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, once a month in Stafford, VA, you go see Mark MC at what's the name of the place again?
Grounds Bistro.
Grounds Bistro. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And what is there, like 3 or 4 guys there doing stand up?
Myself and just two. Yeah, I just host a show, and there'll be two comics, two professional comics. So it's nice, a nice little show.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, if you're in the area,
Is it the
look
same
up-
week, same day every week, every month?
It's either second or third. It varies. Either the second or
Okay.
third Saturday. It's always on a Saturday, but depending what else the owner has going on, or if there's a
Oh, cool.
holiday.
Okay.
So I know this month is. I know we're recording this, but this month July we're doing it the 15th, and then August is going to be August 19th.
Okay, cool.
yeah, go see Mark at Grounds Bistro. A couple other stand up comics. It's from what I haven't been there yet while you've done it, but
We'll have to go
Well,
for sure.
yeah, we'll have to. We'll definitely have.
I
to
don't
go.
do a
I've
lot
been
of
wanting
time
to.
when I'm hosting the show, but I'll let you guys know certainly when I have a like a headline show coming up. Yeah,
Yeah, please do. We'd love
like
to come up
45
and
to an hour. Yeah.
Awesome.
have a couple drinks and watch some comedy. And anybody else is interested, please go because Mark's always a good time.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Awesome, Mark. Thanks for so much for doing this again. Really appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Thanks for having me on, man. It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll have you back on again at some point too. Yeah,
Love
man.
talking comedy.
yeah,
Yeah.
same.
That's awesome.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Thanks for hanging out for another week. Be sure to check out punkboxrocks.com and merchslut.com. Check us out on all social media outlets at ourbrainshurt and at ourbrainshurt.com. We will talk to you next week. Stay safe. Adios.
How do I do this shit? I can still hear you. So what do I have to press? Close.